Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Russell County Board of Supervisors, September the 7th, 2021, Russell County Conference Center, 6 p.m. I'd like to first start off with a call of order and roll call. Tim Lovelace. Luann Wallace.
Here.
Carl Ray.
Here.
David Eaton.
Here.
Steve Brady.
Here.
Horace Christian.
Present.
Rebecca Dye.
Here.
Ma'am, you have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, we will have our invocation now. We'll have our person come forward, and then we'll remain standing for the pledge, please. Gavin Tincher. Okay. All right. Kate, if you don't care, let's remember Gavin Tincher. He was hurt in a football game, and he's got paralysis.
Okay. Let us pray. Father God, Lord, we love you, we thank you, and we praise you today, Father. Father, we thank you for the beautiful weather that you've given us, and we thank you for the ability to be able to come out and represent our county in this way, Father. Father, we ask you to be with us during these decisions that are about to be made tonight, Father. And Father, please remember Gavin, Father, that he may have a touch from you, Father. And Father, be with all the sickness and all the death that's in this community, and help us grow and become better people for you, Father. For it's in your name I pray. Amen.
All right, I'll take a motion, please. We do need to amend our agenda. Our legal counsel has asked us to add an executive session under her reports and request number 2. So I'll accept a motion to amend the agenda to add this. Steve, do we have a second?
Second.
Was that Carl? Okay, gotcha. And it is 2.2-3711A8 for legal counsel. So, Steve, can you have the... All those in favor of amending this agenda for this?
Aye.
Okay. Lonzo? Want to read what it is? Or when we have it?
Well, when we go into closed session, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, the first, right now we have our recognitions. The first we have is our Lebanon High School 2021 Virginia High School League Group 2A baseball team state champions. Do we have any of our baseball players or the coach here tonight? I believe Miss Jessie said some would be attending. All right, seeing none, we'll hold their plaque. The next one is our Virginia High School 2021 Virginia High School League varsity softball team. And that was our girls, and our coach is Mr. Dennis Price. All right, seeing none. Our third recognition is our stream sweepers. It is the Clinch River project, and Miss Maddie Gordon was in charge of this. Do we have our stream sweepers? If you will step forward, please. And this is Stream Sweepers Clinch River 2021 project in recognition of service and dedication to the waterways in Russell County. 1,095 tires removed. And Lonzo, will you please show what hard work these children did, these ladies and gentlemen, because they pulled out some mighty big tires. I cannot believe what all they got. I agree. I cannot believe all of that they've pulled out. That was this one. Okay, please, yes, yeah, yeah. I sure will. Thank you. We will. Is it? Is it on? No. No. There you go.
I just want to thank you guys for having us out tonight. So over the last 3 years, we have been on a 60-mile stretch spanning all the way from Cleveland all the way down to Miller's Yard, the start of Scott County. Over the last 3 years, we have removed 3,310 tires and 38,880 pounds of trash. That includes tires that are 5 foot tall, almost 2 foot, in width. Engine blocks, anything you can imagine. Mac computers. It's been a great experience with all these young men and women to be able to help our community and bring back the natural essence of one of the main things that bring all these visitors into St. Paul. And it's one thing I never get tired of. So I'd like to thank you guys for that.
Thank you. You all did a lot of work. Yeah. We do appreciate it. That was lots of hard work. All right. The next thing, we will open the floor for a public hearing on the alternative public educational program, school choice. If you will state your name and your address, please. And there's 3 minutes, so anyone that wants to speak, if you'll step forward.
Good evening. Again, Pastor James Nunley, Cedar Point Baptist Church here in Lebanon, Virginia. I've lived here now quite a few years in Russell County. I do first want to thank you for having a public hearing, for agreeing to a public hearing on this matter. As a parent with children in a private Christian school here in Russell County, I do understand the sacrifice. I have for 9 years. Been willing to make that sacrifice to ensure that for my children. However, in this opportunity, I do believe that support for all citizens' choice would surely benefit all. I say that because we as Russell County residents all pay taxes, and our taxes go to fund exactly the things you all talk about week in, week out, but specifically for our school system. I have no problem helping to fund our public school system. I get that. But I do believe that there are alternatives that could be searched out to benefit the whole of the county without harming our public school system. Our teachers, I support them 100%. I understand they're under a lot currently. But as I say that, also, because I know the narrative can easily change to, well, you want to take jobs away from the Russell County school system. Absolutely not. I believe wholeheartedly that choice in some form of financial backing for those of us who make a choice different than public school can be done in a way that would grow this county for a positive. I've seen it in my life personally with my children. I've seen it in our school as a whole. And I believe that it can be done. I do believe that the step can happen if you're willing to put the effort in. If you all are willing to go to the table, open-minded together, and iron those things out. I believe there are avenues, but you're going to have to exhaust those avenues to make sure that it is available for us. I must say I'm pretty disappointed that 3 months ago there was an agreement that there would be a committee formed and that there would be representatives chosen to come together to discuss this. And I'm pretty disappointed that it had to come to public hearing. Matter of fact, I feel pretty let down as a county resident that our supervisors didn't seem to care enough about that for those of us who voiced that concern to appoint somebody on their behalf to have that discussion. But I am thankful that you gave this public hearing comment section and time. But please consider actually coming to the table and working for the best interest of the whole community, not one individual group. I would greatly appreciate that as a parent with children in a private Christian school and on behalf of the school. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right. Anyone else? Next. Another citizen?
Good afternoon. My name is Larry Hughes. I live at 30 Glade Hall Drive here in Lebanon. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about the school. I hadn't planned on talking tonight, but I think I should. I graduated from Russell County Schools, public schools, and I was happy with it. And I was happy with it for my children. But when my grandchildren come along around about 5 or 6 years ago, I'm not getting reasons why, but we pulled them out. And at first, when they pulled them out, I feel it put most of the expenses for it because my daughter and son, at that point, son-in-law just didn't quite have the funds to do it, but I helped them. It is expensive, and I think the county needs to give an alternative for other students, for other kids. Not because we think the schools is bad, it's just that it wasn't the right fit for our kids, and I would like to see you do that. If the school system, my understanding for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, has had a surplus of monies that they have given back to the county, then I think you should consider using those funds as an alternative way of providing some funding for the schools. That's public knowledge. That was mentioned in the meetings. So if monies are coming back, and there was a question this year about retaining some because they thought there was more than was needed. So I'm asking you to provide for the parents of these children, the ones that needs an alternative education. Let's give them that opportunity. I still believe in the public school system, and I hope we can pull it out. But I do have concerns with some of the things that happens. I thank you.
So, anyone else?
Nathan Kaiser, Green Valley Road, Lebanon, Virginia. I have with me the same petition with some more signatures I brought to you 3 months ago. We've had 671 people sign in person and 423 online. That's a total of 1,094 signatures in support of school choice options for Russell County, giving real school choice options, not as we've heard that Virginia is a school choice state, but actually putting some financial backing behind that to help parents and children access alternatives to public educations. Many people in our community, and it's evident by this petition, feel the need and see the need for the board and for our government to look at alternatives to public education. That public education is not serving our children and our parents' needs, is not aligning with our values, and we simply ask for that option because right now, essentially by denying that, you're essentially financially holding these children and these adults, these parents, hostage to the public education system. For many people in this area are not financially able to afford private education or Christian education or homeschooling, and this is something we're talking about for everyone. So if we can take that first step, now I know this is not. I'm not trying to sell this as a point that that will blanket the entire problem, but it is one step in the right direction. And one of the candidates for governor, Glenn Youngkin, wants to pursue school choice. Hopefully, our next president will see that as an item. Someone told me today that they heard on Fox News there are actually Democrats talking about funding school choice. So this is a real movement that we could see take place. And if we can start a movement here in Russell County to make that first step, I really do think that is something that we can see take off across the state, across the nation. And there's other states doing these things. There are. And we've got an opportunity here. You want to put Russell County on the map? This is a great way to do it. You want to talk about amenities? This is a great way to do it. I mean, education is one of the main things when companies and individuals look to move to a community. If Russell County offers something that no one else offers, that makes a difference when someone's looking at it. So please keep that in mind. I hope that you all will finish by nominating your members for the committee, and I hope they're members that are focused on finding a solution, not stalling the process. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Anybody else that wants to speak?
Yes, I'm Monica Martin. I'm from Brick Church Circle, Castlewood. And I do have a son that started in the public school system at Copper Creek. I was beyond pleased with my son's education at Copper Creek. I think it's one of the best in the county. And he started his first grade at Castlewood Elementary, and the education there was not what I wanted for my son. He wasn't learning at the pace that I felt like he should, so I moved him from there to the Learning Center. And I know that public funding for schools is essential, and I feel like there's some areas that could use some more funding, and maybe some schools that could use some more funding. But also, since I work and I pay taxes in the county, I would like to see a percentage of my taxes go to the school of my choice to help my son, while also helping fund public schools also, because I know that not every family in this county can afford the tuition to a private school, even if it's just $1,000 a year. I mean, that's cheap. When you think of private school in general, that's cheap. But that's just way beyond the means for a lot of people. And just part of that tax money, helping to offset that cost, could make a big difference to our children here in the county. That maybe public school isn't really, the best option. My son gets a lot more individual attention in the smaller classes at the Learning Center than what he did at the public school. And it's been a major blessing to me and to my son, especially this year. I mean, it's been a massive difference. So it's just my two thoughts, having an actual son in the school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody else?
Michelle Vance, Willow Springs Drive. I wasn't going to get up here, but I have a big mouth. I've pretty much lost all my faith in the Board of Supervisors here in Russell County over the past few years. There's an issue when a lot of people who live along the county line between Wise and Russell County choose to send their children to Wise County schools. That's an issue. Why are they not going to Russell County schools? I mean, I know of a lot of them are in your district that are going to Wise County schools. That should be an issue for you. It's, there's kids that are going to homeschool now, which is a hardship I know it puts a hardship on my family, because my son and my daughter-in-law have decided to homeschool their children. So now it's going to take 4 of us to homeschool these kids. That's 4 kids that should be going to Russell County Public Schools. That's my tax money. That's my children's tax money, my husband's tax money. That's a lot of tax money coming out of there. And like I said, I'm not sure what good this is going to do with you all, because I haven't seen much of anything, especially in the past year and a half. But someone recently told me something about George Washington. And maybe this will help you a little bit since you're our local leaders. George Washington once said, "Leaders walk the talk."
Any other folks?
Jimmy Hobbs, Castlewood. I just wanted to add to what she said about the numbers. I've actually got the actual number. It's 213 students from Russell County that's actually going to Wise County. That's a huge number. So I just wanted to add to that.
I am Matthew Cassidy. I live in Green Valley. I'd like to, a few words I'd like to say, add to Nate's point, put Russell County on the map. A lot of areas around here are doing economic tourism, but looking at from a regional perspective, from another place, that's just going to blur together. You want to put Russell County on a map. You want to get something unique to the region, and that would help bring in like education. And with education, it would of course bring more jobs. You'd bring more people into the area, and it's really fulfilling a need that there's a want, and you're fulfilling a need by bringing in education, and not only just more people educated, but also more jobs, and with that education brings more high-paying jobs, more high-tech jobs, and it kind of feeds back on itself, bringing in more people, more jobs, higher tech jobs like up here at CGI and Northrop Grumman. It would bring in more people. That would be education. And it doesn't have to just be Christian schools either. It could be just alternative education, private school, any kind of private schooling, specialized schools, and things like that. And really, that's all I wanted to add. I didn't really plan to get up to speak, but yeah.
My name is Sean Vance. I agree with very much everything they said. I hate to say it, but after 30 days, some of you, I will say some of you could not pick somebody to be on this board. I take it as an insult. I mean, do you think you guys can push us that hard? In my opinion, I would tell everybody to pull their kids out of school and destroy Russell County school system. When y'all start losing jobs and buildings are closing, then you'll pay attention.
Dr. Donar Zampona, 845 Green Valley Road, Lebanon, Virginia. I am the pastor at Green Valley Baptist Church, and I do not have any children in the school system. But I am a pastor who cares for his sheep and cares for the children of our community. There used to be a day and a time when people gave their word that they honored their word. At the June meeting, you gave us your word that each one of you would pick a delegate and you would sit down and we would discuss the issue. We left the meeting with hope. Here we are almost 2 months later, and it is my understanding that some of you either are backing up on your word or you're unwilling to honor your word. That's an insult to the community, to the taxpayers, to those who are trying to work with you. We came to that meeting to encourage you to stand up for what is right, to stand for the values of God's word, to be courageous enough in your position. And we all let you know we were willing to work with you. You gave us your word. And I'm here tonight to encourage you to honor your word. You do what you said you would do. No more, no less. That's all we're asking. But each one of you gave us your word that you would choose a delegate and you would sit down and you would discuss the opportunity and the alternatives for school choice. What's the problem? Why are you not willing to do that? I think it's a fair question. All we're asking is for you to honor your word to us, the community. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Mike Dye, Hornaker, Virginia, pastor of Harmony Community Church. And we've got about 40 kids in our church, probably from high school down. And it is amazing how many of the moms and dads are talking about would love to homeschool their kid, put their kid in a Christian school. And some of the comments is about the funding. And I mean, it's actually a no-brainer to me. I mean, the taxpayers pay the money in, and if the kid's not going to school, wherever it goes, let the money follow the kid. I've talked to some of you on the phone, and there's at least 3 of you that pretty well said just up front, absolutely, I'm for this. I will back this school choice. One of you said that if it's nothing against the law and ain't nothing you can do to get in trouble for doing this, that you'd be willing. That's 4. That's all you need, right? 4 to 3 is all you need. I do have one concern on this, on the voting. I've mentioned this to some of my representatives. I don't really understand this. I have training every year on my job for ethics and conflict of interest, and I really don't understand how that a board of supervisor could be an employee of the school system at the central office and be able to vote on anything that deals with the school without it being a conflict of interest. I mean, how could you vote? How could you vote on a budget? How could you vote? I mean, if it comes down to voting on the central office getting a raise or the school teachers, who do you think they're going to vote for? I mean, it's got to be a conflict of interest, and that's something I've mentioned to my representative, and he said that's a good question for you to ask. And I said, you're my rep, you should ask. You should find out. And I said, even if I do come to this meeting and ask, I'm not going to get the answer, because this is not a question and answer. And it's nothing against that board of supervisors. It's just a simple fact as if the county decided they wanted to store some stuff in storage buildings, it would be total conflict of interest for one of our board of supervisors to vote on storing that in his storage buildings. And so this is something they need to look at. That's conflict of interest when it comes time to vote on this. But of the ones I've talked to, there's 4 that's willing to do this. That's first school choice, that's willing to let this funding. They ain't nothing to keep you from doing that. So I think the money ought to follow the kid. I have no kids. I have no grandkids. But I'm here to fight for those kids that, hey, if this kid goes to the learning center, that money should follow that kid. If that kid goes homeschooling, that money ought to follow that kid. And so I appreciate the time to be able to speak, to be able to say this. And my time.
Sorry. Thank you.
Good evening. Michael Colley, Lebanon, Virginia. I have 2 children in Russell County schools, one private, one public, and that's based on decisions that me and my wife made based on what was best for each child. I've got medical documentation I could show you where the one's better off in public, the other is better off in private. Why don't you leave that decision to us and help us out, those that have no choice but to send children to private school. I'm asking for your help. I've crawled around in mud holes for them tax dollars. Won't you let me spend it on my child? Thank you.
Anyone else?
First, let me apologize for being late, and I don't know exactly what's been said, but got held up by Peanut Eaton's line drawing over on the road. But I'm Lynn Hess from Swords Creek, 137 Open Road. And with the situation that we have in today's public education, I think that's the reason our country's in the shape that it's in. Not only in the elementary schools, the high schools, but our colleges also. And I think a parent ought to have choice of where they send their kid for their education. They ought to be able to get an education with their tax dollars on the basics of their religion or their beliefs, however it is that they want to go on. And what we're getting in public school is indoctrination. A lot of it is, we've got teachers that's, I just read the other day about a teacher that spent a whole day, their first whole day in public school, of covering nothing but what she believes in politics. She's supposed to be an English teacher. Waste of money. If our students knows what your politics is as a teacher, you're not doing your job. And that's just it. That's the bottom line. They ought to be teaching math, arithmetic, and so on. And if our parents wants to put our kids into private schools, they should be allowed to put them in private schools with their tax dollars paying for that. And that way that we can have children that come up that's got good moral values and it's got a good education for their situation. Not everybody's situation is the same. A lot of classrooms are overcrowded. Maybe that kid needs a little bit of extra attention. It needs to be sent somewhere that it can get some extra attention. My son did. He had to go to a private school for 2 years because he had an aneurysm on his brain. Put him behind. He slowed down. He couldn't keep up. Cost me a lot of money, but he caught back up and was able to re-enter the public school for his last 2 years of school. There are situations out here that we really need this tax money to be able to be used by the parents in the manner that they need to use it. I appreciate your time.
Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we'll close our public hearings on school choice. All right, the next thing we're going to move on to is the approval of our minutes from our August 2nd board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes, but I did find one thing that I pointed out to Lonzo and Vicky's. One member was left off of that. We only had 6 members reporting. 7's been added on.
Okay. So the correction will be made. All right. Do we have a second to this? Second. Lou, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining? The next thing on the agenda is the approval of our expenditures. Do we have a motion to approve the expenses being paid?
I'll make a motion to approve those, but I will have a question for Lonzo once we get into discussion.
Okay. Do we have a second with this? Tim? All right. Steve, discussion?
Lonzo, we had a fairly substantial, if I can find it here, for tree removal service. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, I just wondered what that was. Maybe it's was it Lawson? Yeah, Lawson Tree Service, $6,200.
Yes, sir. That was clearing off the Hamlin site, the trash site. We had to clear the whole right of way for VDOTs to get the site distance along the railroad. We had to work with the railroad and
Down at the
VDOT.
Sun?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of paying our expenses? Aye. Anyone opposing or abstaining? All right, the next one is our committee appointments for the School Advisory Ad Hoc Committee. And I believe, Steve, you've made your appointment, David, Carl, so we'll start. Oris, do you have an appointment for this County Advisory School Ad Hoc Committee?
I have chosen myself.
All right, Oris. I am putting Ms. Brandy Hurley on as my representative. Lou?
Donna Ratliff.
Okay. Paul, you've got one. Tina? Allison Ball. All right.
Oh, sure, Randy too.
Brandy Hurley.
Hurley.
She is in law school and she has children in the county. She's got kids in school. All right. The next is our board appointment that I will ascertain a motion that we table these until we have a workshop to clarify some of this, to ask Katie's opinion on some of these, what we really need to do with this. So, and then the event to save time, because we do have to have a closed session tonight. So I'll ascertain a motion to table these rest of these committee appointments till our next meeting. We will have a workshop with it.
Madam Chair, I will go ahead and make that motion for discussion purposes.
Okay. Do we have a second with this?
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you, Oris. All right, discussion.
I just had some kind of heartburn over how Mr. Breeding's statements were put in there. Now, I know we all agreed on this, and yes, I don't have a major problem with it, but I think that we need to discuss some of the wording, and I would really like to have some of the wording redone on this. And I think it's going to take too long to hammer that out here. So if we could have a workshop to do that for a reconvened meeting, that would be appreciated muchly.
Lou, are you talking about the recommendation I made, the email that I sent out? About how we appointed?
Yes. Well, kind of, yes. Uh-huh. And I think it is merit. It has merit, and I'm not saying that I disagree with anything on there. Some of the
I didn't see anybody else making any recommendations, so we've got to get this done. We can't keep putting it off, putting it off, putting it off.
I agree with that.
We've got to come to some agreement on how we're going to do this, and this was the only way that I can say. Once it works itself out, and we're down to appointment for supervisor, we're fine.
Yeah.
But
That I don't have a problem with. The problem that I have is the wording that we had as how we get there. Because it sort of was like pitting us against our own county members or something like that. So I thought it needed to have some of those words taken out. So if we could just
Are you talking about taking it out of the motion or out of
your recommendation?
Recommendation, pure recommendation.
Okay.
You've got to change it. You want to change it. I'm not saying that's how we do it. I just didn't see anybody else making any recommendations, so I had to try to come up with something.
Yeah, and
the most
I
logical
disagree
way. I'm
with
pretty
that, but
simple
I'd
with that.
really like to hammer that out at another date so that we don't take up so much time today.
Okay, so let's call for the vote. All those that, for the motion of having a workshop to work on the recommendations on the committee appointments. So all those in favor of Lou's motion? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, and Katie, we will get with you. I know you're going on vacation, so we'll get back.
Can we
We'll
do
do this
that?
as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we need to do that as soon
Yeah.
as possible.
Yes,
Yeah.
I promise.
We
We
wanted
need
to do it next week, but
we need-
Katie will be gone, so we'll wait till the next week. This kind of
We need to make these appointments next.
I agree. Well, I'd like to meet before the next board meeting, so.
Well, we need to make
sure.
appointments next board meeting.
I realize that we've already voted on this, but are we really lagging on some of our board appointments? These boards are still functioning.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
And I do know that we asked last time if any of our board members or chairs of our boards would have input in that. And I didn't see anything in my packet this time to tell me what those boards, if they're functioning okay, because some say they need X amount of people on those and some say they don't. So we didn't get clarity on that either. So anyway, thank you, sorry.
All right, next we'll open the floor to citizens. Would you please? Thanks.
Oh.
Citizens comment. Okay, so he doesn't need to speak again. Okay, Mr. Nelly's removed his name. Mr. Hughes, do you want to speak again?
Again, my name's Larry Hughes. I live at 30, a great hall job. I'll just mention the fact that I think the monies for the child, for the alternative education, should go with the child. I pay taxes. My children pay taxes. We get no benefits from it because we chose not to send them to school. But we should have the option to send them where we choose to send them. Thank you.
I didn't sign the paper, but I'd like to speak if that's possible. My name's Sean Vance. I live in Big Moccasin. A little while ago, when we were making nominations, which somebody explained to me how Orson Christian can nominate himself. I've heard him boast about, I represent this whole county. He can't find one person other than himself qualified. So I'd like to have an answer. I mean, is that just legal? If that's the case, I'd like to be president.
Nathan Kaiser, Green Valley Road, Lebanon. Thank you for finalizing your appointments, board members. I do have a question, though, as far as, and maybe Katie's the person to ask, what's the next steps? When do we set up the meetings, and how does that process work? Because I don't want to be tabling this thing 30 days and tabling it another 30 days and tabling it. I mean, we're 4 or 5 months into these board appointments. What's another 30 days, right? So we need to get the ball rolling on these things. And I'd like to know, since I am on that committee, what the next steps are moving forward, so that we can do something. Thank you.
I agree with Nate on what he just said. My name's Lynn Hess. I'm from Sword Creek, like I told you a while ago. About this committee, I'm also appointed to it, and we'd like to know the next steps before we go to from here. Another thing I have tonight is the PSA again. We've been looking at my bills. I had a lady from my church actually call me and bring this to my attention. The PSA is running over sometimes $300 3, 4, 5 days a month reading our bills. It's not being done on 30-day intervals like it's supposed to be. So, you know, one month I might use more water than I do the next month, but within those 4 days, it might run me enough to push me over into a higher fee. So I'd really appreciate, Ms. Dye, I believe you appointed yourself and Mr. Eaton to look into the PSA and the board and the funds and what was going on with them. I haven't seen anything, haven't heard anything about what's come out of that yet, but this is something else I'd like for you to add to your list to see about we can get our meters read on time so that it's not pushing us over into a higher amount of water that's being used and pushes us into another bracket of paying more money instead of what we should have to. Appreciate it.
Shell Vance, Willow Spring. Just got up here a few minutes ago. Guess we're still talking and we're not walking yet.
Okay, Ms. Katie, your first one, the Project Jonah interjurisdictional agreement.
Yes, Madam Chair. This is an agreement that Tazewell County has asked us to enter into relating to the Project Jonah. To enter into an interjurisdictional agreement, though, I've looked, and you have to do it by ordinance. So we will need to advertise this for 2 weeks and take it up at the October meeting. I've already reached out to Eric, and I think there's some changes he would like to potentially put in the agreement, and there's some changes Alonzo and I would like to make. But basically what the purpose of this agreement is to allow our building official and their building official to have authority to make official decisions when they're in our county, where this project's going to be in both counties. So at this point, we just need to advertise it, and then it'll be for the board's consideration as passing an ordinance at the October meeting.
And with that, our building inspector is here, so if you will come forward and talk about the Project Jonah, what we have and what we need to do with this. Nikki Ray.
Over the last month and a half or 2 months, however, I go once a week and just check, because 3B's doing the inspections and all that, and putting the SWIP papers in that mailbox, and I look at them. And I've sent Lonzo some pictures. Project's going along good. I mean, they're getting the latest spillway in, all the ripraps in. Now that's the van, and the other muddy road was after that great rain we had last week, so couldn't get up that way. But I'm just here to answer any questions you have about the progress of that I saw about the project.
You feel comfortable, I guess, working side by side with the Tazewell County Building Inspector?
Haven't talked to him, but that's fine. I do what's on the Russell County side. I took the picture today. I sent Alonzo. We didn't have time to get it in. There's water towers up there, right, and approximately a little over halfway is the building pad they're trying to get going. All that on that side now is Russell.
Okay. Well, you answered my question.
And what else? Oh, they're still bringing the building pad down. They still got 25 feet to go down through this rock before they get down to where they're thinking the building pad should be. And he said he's only got 2 more, couple weeks, 3 weeks at the most. If they don't give him something else to do, he said they're going to have to leave and go. we say it was? Bismarck or
Bismarck or something
Yeah.
like that. These are some.
He's only got a couple, 3 weeks of digging through this rock. They're wanting him to bring it down to a baseline that's still 25 feet above where they wanted to be.
Right. Just to add on what Mickey said on the status update of Project Jonah, we met with all 3 counties, which is a 3-county project, which is Russell, Buchanan, and Tazewell County is a joint project. We also met with a representative from Aquamea, this is their project. During the conversations, to speed along what progress they're doing and explain what Mickey did. Right now, without their jurisdiction agreement, Tazewell County has their own engineers, and they're doing the inspection and services on their side. We're certified on our side, so we can, as long as we watch the line. It hasn't got to the point of where we need a joint across the county lines yet, because the building has not started. And on August the 17th, when we met with them, they didn't have a schedule for the first building to be located and the square footage. Well, they're bringing down 25 feet more in elevation, and they're going to have to let it sit, and I'm repeating only what they say, over the winter to be able to, to get compaction on it. So that's what they're looking at.
Not rock.
Both.
A little bit of both.
Both.
So apparently it's not too hard rock.
It's
Pretty hard.
yeah. Wait a minute. It's
so they're having to blast.
Well, let's see. Mickey. I was
I'd be shocked if it was what rock.
It's a lot of rock. It's enough where they have their quarry on site. They have a rock crusher on site, and they're using the rock and the base on the stones and the roads and the basins to be able to, DQ's watching the oversight on the stormwater management. We have the ENS. This is progressing forward, but they're not at the building site. 25 feet in elevation over that much acreage it's going to take about 2 months.
How big is the pad? How many acres?
Just the acreage alone, and I can only speak on what they have told us. It's at 850,000 square feet. So that's going to take some time to get down to that elevation. Did I miss anything, Mickey?
No, it's like I said. He said they've been told to bring it down to where they're at now and smooth it out. That they don't know when the next timetable is to do anything. All right, they're bringing in an entrance off of 19 also. They're in the middle, like up that road. They're in the middle part. This side, they've never even put in any sediment basins or anything. And on the other side toward Arrowhead subdivision, they're not doing anything. It's right in the middle, about where the building pad goes, where they're working. So,
But right now, we're keeping 3B as the engineering company that's over it. And of course, they're responsible for the ENS and the stormwater along with DEQ and each county. Everything is going with their schedule. We're there when they're there, so it's progressing along.
now 3B said, Andrew Dye.
Andrew Dye is
He
correct.
said if they go to that grade and stop and leave, he'll be going to Grundy to do something because they'll temporarily stabilize everything they got. And I'm not being got, like Lonzo said, a building plans, electrical, plumbing. I can't get a call because we don't know what they're going to do.
I'll leave out another man. I left a message.
See any more questions?
I can't think of anything. Just,
I was pulling up those pictures before
right.
Mr. Lester was pulling them up. The muddy road right there, does that have ENS controls on that?
Nothing. That's Tazewell's side. All that's Tazewell going up there.
You're ratting on them, huh? Okay.
under the bus.
It is from there up to that water tower's more than a quarter of a mile to a half a mile up. You're still on tap. But no, nothing's there. But they got this big channel over near that van that the road's just to the right of it.
That's
And
coming
it's
out of the
rip-wrapped
basin.
and everything.
Is DEQ not saying anything about
No.
that?
I've called Jeff Kite and he knows said anything about it.
We're continuously talking to our VDOT and DQ continuously.
I could not get up that road. It was muddy.
Any other board members, any other questions? No, he just
it's
wanted
a
to.
discussion.
He's just discussing, telling what he's saying. All right, thank you, Mickey. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Mickey.
it.
Yeah.
All right, now, I guess Steve, Katie, are you ready for your?
Yes.
Okay, Steve.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we go into closed session to discuss legal matters pursuant to section 2.2-3711AB. Legal discussions. concerning
8.
Consultation.
I'm sorry, Steve, it's 8, not B.
A8. I'm sorry. I looked at it wrong. 3711A8. Excuse me.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Madam Chair, could I make a amendment to include personnel on this? That's come up in the last day or two.
I mean, the motion's already been voted
Motion's
on.
already
You'd have
voted
to,
on.
I guess.
We'll just do, motion's already been voted.
Or no, it's,
Voted
I'm
on.
sorry, it's just been made. It hasn't been voted on. Or no, you all voted.
Yeah, we voted.
So, yeah, the motion's already passed.
All right.
Well, it's just going to be a long thing.
I don't think it's going to be really long, but.
People would like to know.
Well, I can't estimate exactly, but it.
not.
Oh, it's not?
Is it working? You good? Good.
All right, Bronco, Dick. I don't have paper.
A motion.
Yeah, okay. I'll accept the motion to come out of executive session.
Sure.
Steve, thank you.
I'll
The
second.
second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is certification in closed session. I guess. Pursuant to subsection 2.2, 3712D of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended, each member of the Board of Supervisors upon roll call certifies that, to the best of their knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only public business matters that were identified in the motions by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the Board of Supervisors. Any member of the Board of Supervisors who believes that there was a departure from the requirements shall state so prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure that is in his or her judgment has taken place. Are there any supervisors who believe a departure has taken place? Seeing none. Since you agreed that the matters heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting were pursuant only to the motions by which the closed meeting was convened, please signify by saying yea or yes. Tim Lovelace. Glenn Wallace.
Yes.
Carl Ray.
Yes.
Steve Breeding.
Yes.
David Eaton.
Yes.
Forrest Christian.
Yes.
And Rebecca Dyer.
Yes.
Ma'am, you have approval to turn to regular session.
Thank you. All right, the next thing that we have on our agenda is from our county administrator reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First up on the county administrator reports is the Russell County Sanitary Landfill, our leachate storage operation tanks. We had came to the board previously, and we had currently we're running our landfill leachate operations to the Dane Sewer Treatment Plant. This will be the second phase of what we're implementing up there with difficulty here a little bit. 1 second. That we're looking at for the solid waste for the leachate at the Russell County landfill. We are proposing in working with our engineers, Draper Addison, and also Department of Environmental Quality, we're trying to increase the efficiency of these operations. Currently, we have tanks that are setting in ground that are catching our leachate, as you can see in the map here, existing leachate tanks that are 5,000 gallons each. What we are proposing, we also have them on the backside of the facility of the landfill that will be pumping into these. And then right now we have purchased containers, 4,000 gallons additional, to where we can use up to 20 more thousand gallons of storage at a time, plus the in-ground storage also. This will give us the capability to continue with one truck and run leachate operations as needed. It also does another thing from a leachate environmental perspective. It also dilutes it. Any concentrations that we got, it mixes in with the regular groundwater and the other environmental contaminants. So this is the phase 2. This will also increase our cost efficiency on processing at the Dane Sewer Treatment Plant. So right now, just with us treating, and we have been treating like we had proposed to the Board of Supervisors for the last few months, Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, has been monitoring this. We are meeting or exceeding our leachate cost per gallon treatment. So, and in an environmental way. So I wanted to give the Board of Supervisors a report on how we're proceeding on this. This is phase 2. We'll have another phase 3 that we are looking at with the Department of Environmental Quality and also the Department of Mine and Mineral Energy. On the back side of the landfill, we're looking at maybe excavating out one of those temporary sites and closing down, because right now we are we're getting about 250 to 300,000 gallons of groundwater that's coming in that we don't need to be treating. DEQ and DMME thinks that we can, excavate that out and shut that operation down, and then only have the back 2 tanks pumped into the pond with an additional 20,000 gallons in containment and processed at the dank sewer treatment plant. So that's a report on that. Next on the county administrator reports is VDOT, Virginia Department of Transportation. Again, this is the update on Route 615 Back Valley Slide. Of course, the second one, as y'all have seen in your notes, is the Pure Salmon project on what we're working on. Also, the Welcome Center, or right now it's called the Three Rivers Destination Center down in St. Paul. And of course, the maintenance activities that's going through the county. Again, Tumbas Hollow, the rural rustic on the drainage solution, and Thomas Warner, the rural rustic project. And they also mentioned on Route 663 on Rocky Fork Hollow that on those construction projects. That is an update. Next on county administrative reports is a letter from the auditors of public accounts concerning our core system. This is an audit from April the 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2021. This is an audit of their cash disbursements, their internal operations, their accuracy of management's responsibility for internal controls and financial reporting to the auditors of public accounts. Of course, as always, the clerk's office, was within was in compliance with the state of Virginia and the Code of Virginia. Next is the county administrator request. This is a request on VDOT Route 637, discontinued bridge and prescriptive easement on right-of-way. This was actually a public hearing that was before the last board meeting, and one of the things that VDOT was wanting to ensure that not only were there public comments here, but there was no public comments later to them. And as y'all can see, this is an easement that was done in 1975, and the bridge has been discontinued and the road has been discontinued. And one of the things that we're going to have to do the green here is what they want to discontinue. There's currently a bridge that's going through an easement down there that's being utilized that we need to close off. It's kind of a hazard. It's a traveling hazard. So we're looking, I need a motion for the discontinue of the bridge and prescriptive easement on the right-of-way on Route 637.
On 637.
Yes.
Yep. So Carla made that motion.
Yes,
We need
ma'am.
a second. Second. Lou. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next on the county administrator reports is the Russell County AFID grant for Project Brown. This is an amount of AFID grant for Project Brown, an amount of $300,000. It also includes Virginia Jobs Investment Program, the JIP, $58,400. This is for the incentive on Project Brown, which is the Bush Building. I need a motion for approval on Project Brown.
Second.
Steve, any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to know, now, are we gonna be morally obligated for this? Because nothing is, I mean, I'm not trying to put anything out there, but I'm just curious because we've had some other monies that we've not been able to use clawbacks. Does anybody, Mr. Lester, do you have anything that we could hang our hat on that we might get back on this?
If I may, is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
I did review the agreement, and basically what it is they do not get any funds until they complete performance, and they have to submit annual reports. Basically, they have to satisfy not only the authority, which would be the IDA, the locality, and VDAG, that they have met those benchmarks. There's actually 3 ways they can get the money. They can have fully have submitted verification that they fully performed all of the 3 things that they're required to: the capital investment, the maintaining a certain number of jobs, and purchase of those materials. And so if they perform all of that, then they submit documentation to us, and we make that formal request within 30 days for VDAG to give us the money, and so they get the money at that point. If they substantially perform, if they performed 90% of all three of those requirements, they can also be eligible for that $300,000 amount, but they have to provide that documentation to us first that they have complied with that. Then there's also a partial performance where they can submit, basically it states if they perform 75% by the performance date of each category, or say they do 60 of one and 75 of the other, then they get 60. It's broken down. It's $100,000 for each, and so they would get whatever percentage that they have completed once we make that verification. So there's no money that's given to them that would ever have to be clawed back. They only get the money that when they reach those certain benchmarks.
Yes, thank you, Dickie.
So, they are gonna have to spend their money up front first before it is allocated to them.
Yes, and there's a section in there on what they have to provide to the locality. They have to provide an annual report so that you can determine if they are meeting the jobs requirements, the capital investment, and also the purchase of the materials. And also, we're not even the ones completely overseeing the money. We make the request to VDAG, and they have to approve based on what we submit to them.
So what IDA submits to VDAG is based on their report, is what
it'll be the report that they create, but it's not even, it's going to be sufficient to us as the locality first, and then it goes on up, and then they disperse the money. So no money is dispersed until and they retain the money until those benchmarks are met. So it wouldn't be a situation where they get the money up front and then you have to claw back if they don't meet their benchmarks.
Or does IDA approve that they've met those benchmarks?
Let me pull it back up. I was just looking at it. I think it says the locality.
It is. See that by the performance date as verified by the locality, VDAC and the company has achieved at least 90% of the targets. The company is eligible for the full 300 AFID grant award locality.
So it says by execution and delivery of this agreement, the locality requests that the AFID grant shall retain with VDACs until dispersed, and the disbursements of the AFID grant proceeds to the company via the locality, and authority will serve as an inducement. So I mean, they have to provide us proof that they've met that, and then we make the request on their behalf. So they're approved of the grant, but it flows through us. But they don't get the money up front, and then we have to go back and, oh, you didn't perform. They only get what what they do. So they have to fully perform to get that. They have to either fully perform or at least 90% perform all three categories to get that full $300,000.
Okay, and this is grants. This is grant is very specific, I'm assuming. So it could be materials bought, or I couldn't find that in there. Does anybody know? Is it salaries? You can't get
Yes.
that back.
City half a grant is to be allocated to 100,000, 33% the company, which is capital investment, 100,000 for new job targets, and 100,000 for purchase of Virginia grown agricultural products. So it's split three ways. So what you're asking?
Yes. So if it goes for salaries, that's gone.
100,000. It's split into two new job targets. 100,000 for the purchase of agriculture and forestry projects, and 33% for capital investment. Each a third. I guess the question that you're asking, who does the determination of eligibility and targets? Is it the IDA or the Board of Supervisors?
Yes,
Is that the question?
And they have been watching other projects that we have found ourselves in lost money, and I don't want to see that again. That disturbs me greatly. So I don't know how we leave that, but okay.
Well, it says that demonstrates to the satisfaction of the locality, the authority, and VDACs that they've made that. So, I mean, I think I was trying to say that earlier. Maybe I'm sorry I didn't say that clearly. They have to prove to each one of those that they have met that benchmark before the request will even be made. But so we will make a determination initially and then submit documentation for that. But VDAC has to approve it too. Okay. So, I mean, there's basically 3 checks in that chain to make sure that they've met whatever that particular benchmark is.
If you're comfortable.
Well, I mean, there's no clawback. There would be no need to claw back. It's a grant, and they only get the money if they do what's in this agreement.
What they say they'll do.
Yeah. So as a capital investment is $3.78 million. That would be verified through our tax department, Commissioner of Revenue on assessment of machine and tool. It would have to be assessed and verified by on our side, as far as the real estate and the capital investment.
All right, we've had a first, a second, and discussion. Anyone else? Any discussion? Any other board member? All right, all those in favor of this ABID grant to this project? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county administrator reports is the Virginia Supreme Court, Virginia Drug Treatment Court doc grant. This is for $90,000. This is to advise that the grant is for the award in the statement of grant for special conditions to indicate the acceptance awards. This is a quarterly grant that's given through the adult drug court treatment for $90,000. I need a motion for acceptance for appropriation.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Move. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
And
opposed?
this is all federal, all grant, no match. Next on the county administrative reports and request is the Three Rivers Destination Center. This is a RFQ for professional consulting services. This is for the Three Rivers Destination Center for a assessment on the site, conduct a phase 2 environmental site assessment on the ESA for the Three Rivers Destination Project. It also has the conditions for redevelopment planning and conceptual drawings for this site and any other Brownsville related duties. This RFQ, which is on the street, which will close out on September the 10th on Friday at 3 p.m. It is concerning the scope of services, and it is also funded by the VBAF grant, the Virginia Brownsfield Fund. So this is 100% funded grant assessment also. I need a motion for approval for the RFQ.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Do we have a second? Ken, any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed or abstaining?
And another good thing on here, the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice grant. This is for $70,000. Again, this is all grant money, no match from the Department of Criminal Justice for $70,000. This will be used in the conditions of the Victim and Witness Assistance Program. I need a motion for appropriation of $70,000.
David, do we have a second?
Second.
Steve? All right. Any discussion? All those in favor? Abstaining or voting no?
The last item on the county administrator request is the Russell County disposal truck surplus. This is one of our disposal trucks that we have in our program. It is time to rotate them back out. These are the trucks that we purchase out on Virginia State contract. As anybody that's bought used cars right now, we're not losing much money on our resales. So we will be taking these back down to Atlanta to have them resold. And last time we used a vehicle over a 28-month period, 28-month period, and it cost us less than $5,000. So that's not a bad turnaround. So I need a motion for approval for Russell County disposal truck surplus.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Madam Chair, that concludes county administrator reports and requests.
All right. Ken, do you have any matters or concerns before the vote? Carl?
No, ma'am.
Lou?
Yes, and I'm like Steve, I should have mentioned it to Mickey that I had some things I needed him to look at, but I've had some complaints from some of my folks. And if Mickey would look at those that's already been reported, that would be good. Thank you. All right. Steve?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to make a motion that we request an Attorney General's opinion as to the county's authority to issue a tax credit for alternative education. We need to ask one of our representatives, state representatives, to carry that for us. Ask for an early approval. Along with that, I'd like to ask the county administrator that he contact all of our board members that have been finally appointed tonight and make a room available for them. Your committee can meet on their own. You know, Lynn, you need to pick out a time when y'all want to meet, and it's up to you when you want to meet. We'll make the room available for you as quick as you need. Okay?
I'll second.
They will, the ad hoc committee will meet, Lonzo will schedule it, and then within that group, they will decide when and where and the time and how many times they want to meet. It's up to their discretion and what questions they want to present and bring back to us.
Steve,
You second?
Steve, if I may, did you want to direct me to work with the representative too? I just don't want to exceed my authority.
All right. Any further discussion on this? All right. All those in favor? Anyone opposed or abstaining? All right. David?
Yes, I just have a couple of things. One, I'd like to offer my condolences to Mr. Lester. He lost his father, passed away, and we're definitely in our prayers. And we want to keep Lonzo and his family in our prayers. His family was traveling in with the loss of his dad. Second, I would like to make a motion to get an estimate and just an evaluation or an estimate on trying to utilizing the technology that we currently have in Russell County to look at getting electronic gates and cameras at the transfer or the sites, trash sites that we have. I'm not saying this is a perfect solution to be able to keep them open, but it's something that I think we need to take a hard look at. With the technology that we have, we can monitor the sites and we can open the gates and close them with a phone, a cell phone. This is something I proposed a couple of years ago and talked about it. All I want to do right now, as far as with my motion, is just get an estimate of what it would cost and to look and have a discussion with Brian and some of our trash people. I know we need to man the sites, but if we're not going to man them, we're not going to open them, we're going to have to look at an alternative solution because it's became ridiculous. I mean, people through the holidays and everything else, I went by 2 sites and it's pitiful. And there's more trash on the ground over the hill than there are inside. I know this has been a very controversial issue. We're living in 2021. We have all this technology. I don't know why in the world you can't open the gate and give people access to dump it in one canister, and then when the attendant arrives, monitor those facilities and keep them clean. But I want to put that in the form of a motion.
Second your motion.
All right. Any further discussion?
I've had complaints too about trash sites not being open. They're supposed to be open. And if there's an issue about changing out the cans, Londo, like I talked to you about, we need to put some signage up there and explain, it's closed because of safety issues or whatever. But I'll say again, we need to get the manned sites as soon as possible. We need to be working on that post haste.
I know, I've had complaints too. People called and said,
Yeah.
the site's supposed to be open. It's 3:30 on Saturday afternoon. It's closed. So I understand.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to do something about it. It's ridiculous. I mean, we talked about it. We've been doing this for 5 years now, and all we've done is kick the can down the road.
Well,
we're going to have to do something about it.
With the change we make with leach aid, we should be
Have
able
enough
to
money.
have some cost savings that we can keep these.
Yeah.
Get to the manned sites first of all. Let's get to the manned sites everywhere and do away with these little dinky sites stuck here and there. Everybody's mutually inconvenienced by the location of the site. If there's one close enough that you can get to, a manned site, we can keep them open at longer hours, and maybe perhaps even during holidays. Because I know that's an issue. People are off during holidays. They want to get rid of it. It's closed.
Any further discussion? But all those in favor of getting an estimate on this? Aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining?
I have one more thing, Madam Chair. Some of the delegates I've been in conversation with, even up in Eastern Virginia, have informed me that Southwest Virginia is going to be heavily penalized because of the census. They've actually asked would I participate in law. I told them I think the full board would do it, for participate in the lawsuit in regards to the way that our current state, our governor, and the way that they're we want to redraw the lines in the redistricting. Now, let me tell you something. We possibly could lose a senator and a House delegate member, and Virginia Beach would add somebody. Now, we can either sit here and talk about it, or we can take a stand and do whatever we got to do, ring their phones off the hook to make sure that, and I'd like to put this in the form of a motion to send a letter in regards to the way that the census, I know they didn't come to my house. And, we filled out the form online. But we're possibly going to lose millions of dollars, probably going to redraw the lines, lose seats, and that's their that's what they want to do. I mean, that's everything that they want to do, and that's what they're behind, is to make sure they can continue to force not only policies, but now to try to take, these ultimate seats away from us. So I would like to send a letter in regards to having the census redone here in Russell County.
Second your motion. We had a 43% response rate? One of those, is that what it was? 43% of our people responded. And that was probably the ones that were online. We lost, over 2,000 people. You look around and tell me, if we really lost that many people? I don't think so. Housing was hard to find. I just think it was, people didn't respond, and it was ill-timed during the COVID issue. So we're going to take a beating on it if we don't get it.
If we don't get it,
we're going to lose money big time. Yeah. Which is what they want, I'm sure.
Any further discussion? Any comments? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining?
That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Orrs?
I have nothing tonight.
All right. just have a couple of things. I want to, Mr. Doty, the mayor of Lebanon, is having a public hearing on the lighting running toward downtown historical lighting project for the Cleveland Road. And just to state that he will be having a public hearing Monday, September the 13th at 6 o'clock at the town hall. He just asked that we announce that. It will be going out of town toward Cleveland. And I also would like to say that we got a letter from Kelly McBride at the library thanking Mr. Terry Lowe and Lonzo for sending out help when the back door of the public library, there was a drainage problem and all that torrential downpour we had last week, the week before, and they went in and they helped clean up, and she is just writing a letter to thank us for our support and help. All right, I guess that's all. The next thing is I will take a motion to adjourn. Now, our next meeting will be, oh yes, that's right, correct. I'm sorry, I'm glad you mentioned that. We need to reconvene with our workshop on our committee selection process. And Katie, you'll be back. What is your schedule? You'll be back on the 20th, correct?
Yes, I have court all day that day, though.
Okay. All right, the 21st. Is that good with folks on the 21st to come back and do our workshop? Okay. 21st, okay?
Oh, Madam Chair, what time were you thinking? Were you thinking in the evening? Because
Yes.
I do have a PSA meeting that night that starts at 6.
All right. What if we did 3 or 4? Would that give you time to get back?
Yes, their meeting doesn't start till 6, so it'll be here.
Okay. 4 o'clock. Does that give everybody time? 21st on Tuesday. We'll work on our workshop to work on the committee appointments. Okay. We shall reconvene on September the 21st. That's a Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
All right, David. Second?
Second.
Tim? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting to reconvene on the 21st.
What location?
Here. I'd say our regular board.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it'll just be to work on that. All right. Thank y'all. We will reconvene.